Hey, fam. Good day. Hope all is well. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the pressures of leadership. And so, if you're feeling the pressure, hey, that's a good thing because in the kitchen, that's where the changes are cooked. Okay. So, I want us to embrace the pressure as leaders and talk a little bit about it. I've got 3 points that I want to lift up today, and we'll just get into a conversation about what pressure and leadership, what does that mean? So
Yep. Let's get
um,
into it.
let's get into it. So the first thing I wanted to talk a little bit about, Ken, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it, is pressure and leadership. It's not about avoiding the pressure. It's really about embracing it and stewarding it. And
Yeah.
so, how do you go about handling the pressure with regard to leadership, and how do you manage through that?
One thing comes to mind is that I've worked in a senior level position, and the pressure of work was always there. I
Yeah,
recall one time where I had to do something for a client, and the
sure.
processes were completely broken. And so I had to go back and basically write a process for this
Hmm.
client. And there was pressure to do that because the client had turned up some new services, but they
Hmm.
didn't have the right documentation in order to get that support. And so not only was I doing my regular job, which was constantly putting out fires,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I then had to have this additional pressure and under a timeline to get that document done. And
sure.
so what I did is, I worked, long hours, I worked evenings and sometimes on the weekends because I needed to get that done. But I think for me, what was the end goal was is to get it done. But then also when I was finished, I made
Yep.
sure that I reclaimed my time
That's what's
in
up.
terms of making sure that I think it's always, that work life balance is key. And so,
Yeah.
although I put in all these hours and this pressure of getting this documentation completed,
Yep.
along with my regular job, I made sure to take my me time. I think that that's the best way I handled that situation.
Yeah. And to your point, man, that the weight of the responsibility you wanted to work through, you wanted things to be successful, that wasn't punishment.
Right.
You led with through the pressure. You stepped up, you prepared, you worked hard. And so that's a big part of it. It's not about avoiding it. It's about embracing it and saying, "Hey, listen, I'm going to take on more. I'm going to do more because I have a need to make sure that we're successful." My second point is really about pressure as a signal, not as a sentence. And so your decisions matter, your presence matters, your voice carries influence. And so, Ken, my next question around that is, how do you look at pressure as a signal, not as a sentence? In other words, how are you handling your business in a way that prepares you for pressure?
I think healthy mindset is important. We all have our struggles and we do,
Yeah.
we have to do, we've got that mindset of a lot of things going on in work, outside of work. But I
Yep.
think a lot of that starts with the mindset,
Mm.
the mental health aspect, so that
Yep.
when you are hit with that pressure, it's not something that causes you to collapse
Yes.
or sink further into that idea that I can't handle this or
That's
I
right.
can't do this. This is too much. So I
That's right.
think the flip side of that is that handling that pressure, being prepared for it. I mean, if you're working as a
Yes.
leader,
Yes,
then
sir.
pressure is the name of the game. And so it's all
Right.
about having that mindset that you can work through the pressure. And in even when you hit a roadblock, I
Yep.
think it's also key to reach out to those within your community or your team that you're working with and say, hey, I need some help. There's nothing
Yes.
wrong with that asking for help to get something done, especially if the pressure is too much and it's just heavy on you.
That's right. I think, again, to your point, how you handle your business, whether it's business or your personal business, that matters. And that leads
Yeah.
into my last point, right? And so, uh, legacy is forged in the furnace. So no great leader was ever shaped in comfort, and pressure, it builds character, it builds a storyline, and it outlives titles. perfect example of this, and you know about this story. So the three Hebrew boys in
Mhm.
Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You thought I was going to say something else. I didn't say it. I didn't say it. But they were thrown into the furnace by King Nebuchadnezzar. And before King Nebuchadnezzar throws them in there, he says, I want the furnace to be 7 times hotter than it normally is. I want it to be hot. And so he throws them in there, and then he looks in it and he says, hey, wait a minute. I count 1, 2, 3, 4 people in the furnace, not the three that I threw in there. Who's that fourth person? And as he looks, he sees that that form is the Son of God. It is God Himself in that furnace, walking around, taking care of those three boys, and they come out unscathed. So the point being is that their legacy isn't just about survival. It was a stand. It was a declaration of faith, and that refines. It doesn't destroy. So my question to you, man, do you have an example of how legacy is forged in the furnace, how you came out of something relatively unscathed, even though the pressure was on?
Yeah, I mean, throughout my career, I've dealt with so many things in that regard, and
Yeah.
so a specific example would be when I was years ago working in retail.
Hmm.
I had the pressure from management to get
Yeah.
a certain amount of things done within a day, and so I just had to step up and lead with that. And so to come out of the fire, as you say, I
Yes,
just put
sir.
my faith forward and
Yep.
that I was confident that I could do the job. Ultimately, I worked so hard and diligently that I ended up getting, a higher promotion, actually even
There you
running the
go.
store at some point.
There you
So
go.
I think the message there is that just again, don't give up.
Mhm.
Even when the pressure is there, if you're stuck in the furnace,
Yes, sir.
there's a way out.
Yes, sir.
And you gotta fight for yourself, and you gotta fight your way out, and continue to try to succeed.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last thing that I will say is that pressure, it isn't the enemy. It's the proving ground. It's the opportunity for us to live up to and even exceed expectations. And so, leaders that are able to go through the pressure, it meets perseverance. They are refined. They aren't done. And so, you have to realize what that requires of you. You have to allow it to make sense in your
Mhm.
mind, and
Yeah,
then you have to make it matter. So
that's very, very
as
key.
as I close, I just want to encourage everybody as a reminder: lead with love, laugh with grace, and lift someone up today. I appreciate y'all.
Yes. Absolutely. I love that you always end with that quote. So, for our audience, if this resonated with you, if you found something useful, please comment, like, share. Let us know how we're doing. Your support is so very much appreciated. Continue to join us. We'll on the next one where we continue to have these conversations that matter. And we're going to next pick up the topic of the game changer mindset. So, join us. We'll see you there. Ciao.